I just want it out, you know?
Like, I want it gone.
So you're saying pay it off because you just don't want to deal with seeing the bill.
It's not, I don't even deal with it. It's just the principle of it. It's like $1,500. Just, move on. I don't, really? But she handles it. She wants to keep that bill.
Welcome back to the 100 Millionaires Podcast. This is Walter Murillo, and I'm hanging out with Mike Shine and Mitch Jorsky. Mike, bring us in, brother.
Massive income from passive income. Pay off your furniture.
Mitch, how do we do it?
We organize the money at a cheaper rate than we can collect, so you don't pay off the furniture.
Right. I know I'm completely wrong on this one. I absolutely know it.
And that's okay, Mike, because apparently I was wrong on the conversation we were having going in, but I'm still standing my ground.
No way.
I really think
I'm not buying $400 sunglasses.
If you put that up there, Walter, as the label, it should be scarcity versus abundance mindset. And I was just saying that Mitch should just buy the $450 sunglasses just to step into the abundance mindset.
And go ahead, Mitch. Why aren't you buying the $400 glasses, bro? Like, what's going on?
$450.
Because I will look at them every day, and whenever I don't use them, I will be angry.
So just an excuse to go out and see the sun, be protected from the sun.
Oh my God. I have Tommy Bahama. Is that the name?
Okay.
I don't know. Oh my God. When you put those things on, they're like $250. The glass
Also,
is just,
practically in the clearance section. You're shopping in the for sale area.
right. And oh my God, the glass is and it makes everything, like Brenda put them on. She's like, oh my God, the world is more beautiful with these glasses.
That's the one with the orange or the red tint on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what we were talking about, everybody who's just jumping in or logging in, we were talking about beforehand, spending money, right? Like spending money and the emotions that are attached to it. Because Mitch was like in a store that was expensive. And Mitch was having like all these anxiety moments, right? He's like, oh man, like this person I'm with right now
makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it doesn't make sense. You're spending dollars.
And I was saying that I
If it
don't
does
really
the same
think about the
thing.
prices, and more money comes to me. But
So you're
Walter,
saying
you had the most important point, which is that you have to feel good when you're doing it. So
Yeah.
Mitch goes in there and
Yes.
buys $450 sunglasses, but he's miserable and his vibration is super low.
He's not going to go make money again. Like, he's
that's
going to be
not
like, oh,
gonna
dude, like,
happen.
why should I make money? Because when I make money, I buy garbage with it. I waste.
Here's what's wild. You know what? And most people be like, wait, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. I'd rather take that $400 and go sit down at the poker table.
Oh,
There you go.
Because that brings me enjoyment.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I lose, great. I spent that money. I got to enjoy my time, but I can also win too. And that's high vibration for me.
I got a story from last night, but I remember my first coach when I was learning how to be a salesperson. He said, look, find the car you want, go get the payment. He said, go buy the car, because you will only ever earn up to what you're used to having. So if you go get a payment that's going to take you way out of your lifestyle, or go buy a house, take you way out of your lifestyle, you're going to be forced to go earn more money. So you kind of almost have to like just take the loan and go out and live that way. And then he also said right afterwards, the same thing I'm going to say right now, is don't take that advice. Like, don't put yourself in bad situations if you don't believe you're going to do the work to get there, if you don't know how to do the work to get there. But if you find yourself unmotivated to go in, like, work or make money, then it might make sense to go and spend some money to pull yourself in. Now, if you don't love your job and you're not happy doing what you're doing, it might make sense to learn that first, because obviously you increase that spending, you're going to have to stay in that job longer. So there is a balance to this. So going back to last night, we were talking about Bitcoin, right? And listen to this, Mitch. This guy was like, I'm thinking about going and getting a job right now. And like the whole table paused because he wants to buy more Bitcoin. Like, he's thinking about he's just retired. It doesn't have to work, right? But he's thinking about going back to work so he can get more capital to dollar cost average into Bitcoin right now.
Wow, that's cool.
So like, your desire to spend, your desire to put money into things will increase your motivation to go do things. So a lot of people come to us unmotivated. It's like, that's because you don't want anything. The biggest thing I'll write down on the roadmaps are want more, big capital letters. I bold it. I'm like, want more under their income or their blueprint. It's like, dude, you're earning $30,000 a year. Like, are you okay? Like, check
no,
the pulse. You even alive?
You know what I'm thinking about when you're talking about this, Walter, is the part of the science of getting rich when he talks about that, stupid people get rich and smart people get rich and
Truth.
weak people get rich and strong people. And one of them that they said is that Wallace Waddle says that people who are who spend a lot of money still get rich, and people who don't do. And my point is that some people will save their money thinking that's going to get them rich, but that's not necessarily how it works. There are people who spend boatloads of money who get super, super rich. So not going to Starbucks and saving and getting the cheapest coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. I don't believe it.
It goes along this principle, right, Mike? Like, say you're spending $30,000-$40,000 a month. And like, I can attest, like, as a property owner, we've done that. Like, we've done that for many years. As a business owner, right? We've done that. So we've spent, actually, I know for sure we spend $40,000 to $50,000 a month every single month. Like, that's expenses going out.
Yeah.
But on the months that we're saving something, we still got the income coming in. That's just instant income. So like,
Right.
you get used to, even if you're spending every single dollar you're making, but you're pushing to have more dollars coming in, all it is a couple of small corrections on the spending side, but you still got the revenue. Like you've figured out and worked that muscle to get there.
Yeah, so I noticed that, like, when I was younger, everything would be like $100. And then suddenly we were like renting, and I was dating Brenda, and it was like $300. And then we bought our first house, and it was always like, it seemed like everything was like $1,000.
Yep.
And then, and I think with a family now, we probably spend like 10 grand a month.
Easily.
Like this is just our personal stuff. I'm not talking about the
This
business,
is just
but I'm just
going
saying,
out to eat. This is, rent the
Yep.
boats, like,
the visa,
like rent the scuba classes, whatever. Like,
yeah,
well,
you
got
do
5
everything by credit card. So, you see it at the end of the month, and it seems like it just kind of levels up. But the opposite of what they said, they always said, be careful, because the more money you make, the more money you're going to spend. Well, we've kind of flipped it on the head. We'd say we actually, because we spend more, we're making more, which I think is kind of magical.
And it's very interesting because it's like, which one came first?
Yeah.
I think it really depends. It depends on how your money blueprint is. Some people will put it on a card, and then they'll go and they'll earn it back, and they come from a place, like they work well from a place of pain. And then others will go and be like, I want that so bad, I'm going to go do some things for it. And they work from a place of pleasure. Like they work from a place of gain or a place of pain. So you just identify which one you are. And then once you recognize it, it's like for me personally, I told Doreen, I was like, babe, I work from a place of pain. You got to put me in a bad situation. I solve the problems. Like, it's embarrassing to me, but like, I became a multimillionaire when I had $150,000 credit card debt. Like that worked for me. I had to be so in such a, like, no job could ever heal this situation. I've got to go figure something else out.
Very good point.
What do you, Mitch?
No,
he's got to be.
I'm just going to tell Walter same thing. Like, that's, I think, the biggest problem with me is that, based on, I guess, the way I grew up and everything, like that was how it was. Like, that was pretty much, built into me. But now as an adult, I struggle to have any motivation if I'm not coming from basically a place of pain or struggle. But I'm rarely in those places anymore because I set up a good life for myself.
Right.
So it's like, with this whole like, have I leveled up much in the last few years? Probably not, because there's no pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think I'm different. I mean, maybe you guys,
I think
you're
you are.
ascended.
You guys have known me for like 4 years, but I feel like I see something that's kind of fun, and then I'm like, yeah, I want to get that, as opposed to, I mean, there are definitely pain points, things happen. Like, I have a payment coming due on Roatan. There were a couple of days of, wow,
how do I move the money? Let's move it.
Exactly. But for the most part, it seems like it's more like, it'd be fun to get to that level. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like, and Mitch, I know you have some of that too. Like, because I've noticed even myself, like over the last few years, like I know the cost of a developer. And so I'll go and I'll make that money because I know what the cost of the developer is. So I'm going on pulling that in. Like, we want to build an app, like an actual app, because right now we're hosting on Mighty Networks for our app, but we want to be able to just go straight and have an Alchemist Nation app. We went and we got the quotes.
Cool.
It's 50 grand. So we know it's 50 grand every 2 years. So every 2 years to maintain the app, it's 50 grand. So 4 years of this, it's 100 grand, right? So we know the cost of it. And now I'm like, okay, like, well, Alchemist Nation's got to go make that money because I want to go put that into, building the app. And that like, it inspires me to go and earn more. Like, it just makes me think, okay, like maybe I'll sell a couple more things in order to, like, a couple more programs in order to go and develop that component in the business. Like, so like certainly more often I see myself wanting things business wise or asset wise. Like you did it with Tesla, Mike. You're just like, I want to own 1,000 shares of Tesla. Or now it's like 10,000 shares, but you started with like, I want to own 1,000 shares of Tesla.
Yeah.
And that like motivated you to start bringing in extra income and finding ways and strategies to slide it in, like trading options and stuff that would like bring you into owning those shares. Like we saw you do it.
Now I'm at a point where I have a goal of like 1,000 units, but not 1,000 units as a syndicator.
Right.
But like to get to 1,000 units. So that's kind of where I'm looking at other ways to create cash flow I've said to my partners, I said, hey, if you find deals, I'm going to be able to find the money. So it's
cool. An awareness.
Yeah.
We've said the same thing. Ron and we're selling our personal owned portfolio so we want to be more passive investors. Like we're done with owning the assets. We want to shift into like GP on deals, but GP as the money partner. Like we brought in the capital, we brought in our investors, just give us a slice of the pie. And I'd rather have 1,000 units or 2,000 units instead of, the 50 units or the 100 units of like personally owned, like heavy management.
Yeah.
I personally don't care either way, but Ron does care because he manages it. So.
I just want to create the money from like all the cash flow. We've been talking the last few months about things that cash flow, because I noticed like I hang around with realtors a lot, and if they close on a good deal, they might make $20,000 or $40,000 in one shot, and that money can go towards a real estate investment. But being a title attorney, unless you're up at certain volume, you're not going to have any money beyond any money except for what you're paying your expenses.
You don't get the big surges. You don't get those big checks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking for those type of opportunities and finding them.
Hell, those big surges of what I basically live on since I left the day job. I mean, whether it's a refinance, selling a property, whatever it is. I mean, I'm about to next week close on one, free up a bunch of capital, and that's going to get plowed into other investments that's, create more passive income.
That's what I want to do. I want to really level it up to like 1,000 units.
I'll tell you what, though.
I love that. Why not, Mike? Like, why not?
Like,
I just don't like units. I have this thing with units.
I don't even care about units.
Yeah, I just throw that out there. Right? If it was 900 units, I wouldn't care, but it's a nice number to pick. But and
it's funny too.
Because one unit in Newport, Rhode Island is very different from one unit in Central Falls.
100%. Well, and it's also like, and it depends on how those units end up performing, right? So let's just say use a benchmark, right? Let's say like, all right, I'm aiming for 200 a door, right? And then you end up averaging 275 a door. Well, you need a lot less units to reach your goal. That's kind of like, I'm happy to say like that's sort of what's going on in my Massachusetts portfolio. Like we're averaging more per door than the baseline was. So we'll probably be able to get to the golden number on less units.
Well, here's the other challenge though.
Do you guys take a draw from that? Like, do you take money out, or does it just roll into
every investor ever? Well, you see what happened was.
This
broke, so we were gonna take a draw, and then
no, hold up. I personally have not yet. I was gonna start at the year 3 mark because that was always my thing. Like I started business and then like no money until year 3. So I was going to start in the spring, which marked year 3. I have not. At this point, though, I'm going to start in the new year. My partner has been taking a draw for a while now, but we're in different situations. So, and he's also property managing. So
we didn't get to draw until we started selling property. Like we started selling property about 5 years ago, and it wasn't until we sold property that we started to be able to take draws. Like the cash flow, because of what we buy, right? We buy stuff that just always needs maintenance. It's when we buy it, we know it needs 15-25% maintenance because it's been dropped for so long. So like the cash flow just kind of maintains that, it just just keeps
Well,
maintaining it.
And that's the reality. I mean, when you factor in, because we're doing that with a lot of deferred maintenance on properties we pick
Yep.
up, right? And there's really no cash flow, like because
Right.
you're spending so much on deferred maintenance. I'm basically just, I have everything mapped out with the allocations and like, all right, this over the long term is what it looks like. So this is the cash flow. So it's just like, you know,
But
if someone needs to essentially get paid,
It's
then
funny you say that because what happens is that like we have the Airbnb, which absolutely crushed it this year, but I'm kind of the same mindset. Like it brought in a bunch of money, but we're kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to really take any because deferred maintenance or
It's got a roof.
whatever.
It's got
it's just-
furnaces.
Yeah.
well, and the reality is with it being towards the end of the year, like I was kind of like looking at the books, end of the month, and I was like, well, how much did we actually spend this year and how much income did we brought in? And it's just like, we did a lot of big projects and a lot of maintenance this year. And I looked at like all the rent revenue we brought in and everything we spent. And basically the rent revenue outpaced expenses by only like 20,000 for the year.
Yeah, small
Gotcha.
amount.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we see that
like,
too. Yeah.
you know,
Like we did
Yeah,
a lot of evictions this year. So like, we're like,
I have a specific question. If you had a deal that let's see, brought in 20,000 a month, but expenses 50% rule was like 10%, 10,000 a month.
Yep.
Would you consider that a good deal? Like, is that?
depends on the mortgage. How much is the mortgage to get that $10,000 a month?
I think it's like 6.
Yeah.
No, actually the 10,000 included their mortgage, but ours is going to be lower than that. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great deal. Because the 50% rule doesn't include mortgages. So that means their expenses are way under industry standard. You know, like we found in
Yeah.
our portfolio, it's about 42%. Like expenses are about 42%.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if 10%, 8% is enough for the mortgage. Depends on how you finance it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure something out because
If you bought it with all cash, then yeah, you're getting the money.
there's opportunities now that are not real estate related that seem to have much more cash flow.
Business.
But what I don't understand, and I admit this fully, is the real estate tax benefits.
Oh yeah.
So in other words,
all of them are there. It also has all the tax benefits.
but I'm just saying,
Depreciation and
if,
expenses.
if you make like, say, some crazy cash flow on a non-real estate, how do you convert that to see
How do you offset
much
it?
how much better that is than a real estate deal, I guess is my.
well, I mean, if you look at it from a simplistic kind of way, it's just like, all right, what do I get with real estate? All right, obviously I get expenses that offset the income, right? So there's
Right.
that factor. I get depreciation, which is great up front, but remember that always gets recaptured at the end when
That's what
capital
Brenda says
gains.
that all the time. Brenda's like, everybody talks about this depreciation, but if you sell that property, you have to pay it back. So.
Yeah.
And does real estate value go up or down over time?
Yeah. So like that's the thing.
You're,
like
you're kicking the can down the
depreciation-
road and paying more in the future.
Yes.
Right.
You're just
right.
kicking the can down the road with depreciation essentially. But obviously you get the expenses that you could get to write off. So yeah, it's different than, because obviously I'm familiar with some of these investments you're talking about. And it's just like, yeah, you're getting straight, income, so to speak. And you just you're paying tax on that income. So it's like, all right, what does that look like versus if I have a rental property where, the expenses are offsetting a big piece of this income.
I see what you're saying.
And I think at that point, it's just coming up with, all right, what's the number? What's the number? Like the end numbers are going to the taxable end number is going to be different. Right.
Yeah.
So then
The
you're like,
other
all right,
side
how much
to
am I
it-
paying in taxes on the income from the business thing? Let's say, right? Like whatever, just a straight investment income. That's what it is
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And then it's like, is that number big enough where now that profit becomes less than the rental property with, less taxes?
The
Right.
magic to this is, can you roll it into something that is an expense that's a business expense, right? When you're challenged with you're making a ton of money, you've got to find an expense to eliminate it. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to take that money and the government's going to penalize you. They're going to tax you for taking the money out of the system. The only way you don't get penalized for taking money out of the system is if you keep it in the system through a loan. So what we've been doing is all the higher income that's coming in, we're slamming it into expenses in Alchemist Nation. We have a cause, we have a purpose, we have something that's just sucking up money. And now it creates a loss every year that goes and creates a loss for us. So we're not paying taxes. But we are able to take out loans against the portfolio.
Well, wait a second.
Live
You
off
don't,
of those loans.
you also may not get to that point if you don't take the full profit. In other words, if the business opportunity can just compound on itself and say like we said, say you have $10,000 in expenses every month, or my family.
Yep.
Maybe you just take that off, and that's the only thing you're paying taxes on, is how much the rest just
You can do
stays in
that.
investment.
Yeah, you don't need to take the money, right? You can just
Yeah,
leave the money in the
exactly.
investment. And that's exactly right. And then when you're pulling money out, you're going to, whenever you take money out of the system, whenever you take money out to use, you're going to pay, unless it's a business expense, in which case it can go against it.
It's a good thing we have an awesome accountant that we get to see every Tuesday night.
That's
Yeah,
it.
except for yesterday. I had 10 questions, damn it.
You should have let me know.
No,
I would have kicked the Zoom off of my phone.
I
You
was
guys could
happy.
have done your thing.
I was happy you were doing a Christmas real estate meetup.
I was
Good to
networking.
see you out
I was actually
networking.
networking in Florida. That was networking that had potential value add, because like these days, like the networking in Florida, like it's always great to network and there's good groups I'm part of. But like since I really haven't been doing much real estate wise in Florida, there really hasn't been a ton of value add to it. It's more so just like hanging out my fellow investor friends, which case in point, tonight, same thing. I'll be at the multifamily and more Christmas meetup.
Nice.
So
Nice.
But
yeah, I got the same thing last night. I was at a business and startup meetup here in Tampa.
yeah, it was a different thing that I usually
Fantastic.
go to.
Yeah. All of them were
Different
interested
people.
in real estate, so when I was there, like suddenly I was the guy to talk to about real estate.
Nice.
But we were talking about crypto, we were talking about different businesses. I got to meet other digital marketers. Like it was really cool. It was
That's
right in
cool.
line with the stuff that we do. And some of their businesses, I was thinking like, man, like how can we partner up? Like this is actually the sort of thing that, it cash flows, like it's tech, I like a lot of it. So there's you got to get outside of your normal meetups. So Mitch, you're slaying it, brother.
And I just joined a new mastermind, and it's already given me 3 potential new investments or things that I can learn. So one of them is actually day trading. They have like a group in the group that
group in
does
the
like
group?
trading.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I saw the guy today I think he said 20 minutes this morning, made $33,000 and showed
How
me
much
the
did he put
trades.
up? Like what was he putting
No,
up?
that was
Like,
the profit. That was the profit.
yeah, so you're trading quite a bit if your profit is $32,000.
I don't know. Let me look.
Yeah, he's got to have decent leverage in that account.
Yeah.
Like
But
more, like
I kind
more
of
than
like that because I want to travel all around the world. So I kind of want to just have this little laptop anywhere and maybe
Yeah.
get up at 4 in the morning or whatever and but learn it first. Like he said that
You gotta learn
they
it.
actually go through a whole thing with you, and then they even have you do a paper trading account once they've trained you
Yep.
before you ever do real trades, which
This must be options.
doesn't
I
have to
don't
be.
think so. I don't
Like I
think
said,
so.
like when I was
Might have
trading
been-
in the office in Boca, like we are like our big dog trader in that office. I would watch his P&L swing 50 to 100K every single day. It was
Wow,
insane.
it's cool.
So, but his buying power was huge. Like I'm not like my buying power was 100,000. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to have swings like that because I'm not gonna have enough size ever.
Right.
So if this guy made 33 G's, who knows like what his buying power is? Probably $250,000.
Right.
At least. Unless he hit something
At
really
least.
good where like you just maxed out on it and hit whatever, some crazy move, 8 points or something. I don't even know what it'd have to do math wise. But yeah, that guy definitely has some solid buying power. But it might not mean he's got a ton of money. Like, even retail accounts, like with retail accounts, like with prop desk, you got to put up minimum 30K and they only give you, I think, 4x leverage or 5, with when you're
Ameritrade,
licensed,
I
they
think, is
give you
4.
what was it? 20x.
That's just asking for trouble.
So that's all. I mean, that's what it was. I used to,
Yeah.
when I first started day trading, like I got my Series 7, I put in $5,000 and I had 100K in buying power.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
But if you lose that $5,000, you get shut off.
game over.
I'll have to ask him if I can send it to you guys. I sent it to you, but then I pulled it back because it's not really, so.
Appropriate. Yeah.
It will stay
Oh.
secret.
Well, in that case, I guess we've come to a lull in the podcast. So
Yeah. You
Way
gotta
to go,
jump
Mike.
anyway.
killed the call. So I got the recession-proof
That's a big
challenge starting
mystery.
in 30 minutes. Yeah, now I want to know.
Recession-proof challenge. If you have not
Let's-
signed up, you should
Let's
go
jump off
to
live.
Mitch
Let's-
Jaworski's Facebook profile and click the link
Click the link. So
in
yeah,
the bio.
it's
Click the link and sign up.
Christmas is coming. Yeah, Mike, if you want to hang out right after this, we'll log us all off.
Too funny.
Figure out just email.
I'm
I got
actually
15
down.
I got 15 minutes before my water call. So
All right,
I'm
sounds
down.
good. So yeah, there are new investments. Don't spend what you don't have unless you work from a place of pain, in which case I guess go spend what you don't have.
Although you guys
Don't
kind of
make
just
what
told
you
me to
wanna
spend
have.
more money, whether I have it or not, because then I'll make more money. But
yes,
that's a whole nother story.
Christmas. It's Christmas. Get
It's
out those
Christmas.
credit
Go spend
cards.
money.
Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Mom's cooking chicken and collard greens.
Yo, one of the things we have as a rule for hiring salespeople is if they don't make 150,000 a year, like we don't want to hire them, because I know that they're not going to make 150,000 if they don't already want 150,000. So if they don't have high expenses, there's no point in bringing them in because they'll stop.
That sounds like operating from a place of pain because you don't have a choice. You're like, shit, I got bills to pay.
They got bills to pay. When you
I
hire a
I'll never
salesperson,
understand doing that to myself.
they got to have bills to pay, right? If they don't have bills to pay, they don't earn. They don't do well.
I have
So.
bills to pay. It's called passive income pays those bills.
That's
More
correct.
passive income before more bills.
Mm.
You know, so whatever it is, whatever your challenge is, whatever's stopping you in life, I'll see you tomorrow on the 50th. I'll see you Saturday, 2 weeks to wealth.
That's right. 52
I
weeks
build
to live.
millionaires.com.
I don't think I'm gonna be there Saturday because we're gonna be at Esther Hicks.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna be.
I will be unless Mike keeps me up too late in Miami Friday, which I'll reach out to you offline, Mike, to figure out what that is because you have to come
Yeah,
down and
that's-
see you
That's
Friday.
really us. Non-drinking
case-
vegans. We really stay out late.
In which case, well, isn't wine vegan, Mike?
We're not even drinking anymore. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
kind
am.
of joining you in that.
So
I am
Michael
very close to cutting it out entirely.
Michael Singer said, "Why do I don't have an edge to take off? So why?
Valid.
Wealth Principle 44 this weekend is systemize your business so it works without you. So kind of what
Love
we've been
it.
talking
Nice.
about.
And what's the book?
That's a 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one for Mitch. I mean, it's a great one for me too. I think
mean,
I've
I've read
referred
it.
to that book at least
Maybe I
once
should
a
read it
week for the
again.
last 6 months. You know.
No way.
Yeah, I keep telling people I don't watch the news because Tim Ferriss said he doesn't
Oh
watch
no,
the
yeah,
news. It's been like 4 years. Somebody said something about Trump's group is called like QAnon, and I was like, I don't know what that is. So
yeah. No, Tim Ferriss is right. Don't watch the news. There's no money
watch
out
the
there.
news.
But watch this podcast again. Mike, we're gonna log off. How do you?
Massive
what do we
income for
do?
passive income.
Mitch, how do we do it?
Organize and collect.
The point is not to work; it's to generate income. 100 millionaires. The summit is coming up. We'll see you there. Choose your success from a choice.
Always
Always
work
work
the
with it.
best. Turning leads into gold.
Building millionaires.
Turning lead into
100
gold.
millionaires. Inspired to
Yeah.
build